man. I love being healthy. No feeling sick for Cal. I'm a healthy boy. I feel bad for anybody who's sick. Not me.
Hey everyone, Sick Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Ibeyi album, Ash. Ibeyi is a French-Cuban musical duo consisting of sisters Naomi and Lisa Cainde Diaz, who made their full-length debut on XL Recordings a few years ago with a self-titled project that featured stunning vocals, some very dramatic and primal beats, some piano, some minimal electronics. The duo's sound seemed like a simple but very futuristic take on art pop and R&B that was deeply rooted in the musical traditions of Cuba and the Yoruba. It's an album that I wish I gave more attention to at the time. I'm kind of late to the party once again on this new record of theirs over here, but hey, I made it. And this is a pretty interesting follow-up to their debut album. In some ways, it's an advancement. In other ways, it does leave something to be desired. The sound of this thing, for the most part, is gorgeous, aesthetically wonderful. I love the minimal beats on this thing, the very dramatic and chilling chord progressions, and of course the stark and densely layered vocal harmonies that come from the Diaz sisters. The vocal melodies and harmonies on this thing are truly the bread and butter of the project, the selling point of the project, as well as the very poetic lyrics. And I love that Ibeyi's compositional approach on these songs is everything you need, nothing you don't. They don't need to busy up the mix with a bunch of sounds that don't really add anything. So when they do bring something a little bit extra in the mix, like a Kamasi Washington saxophone solo, a Chili Gonzalez piano phrase, another synth layer, or a bit of extra reverb, or a Mala Rodriguez verse, you really feel it. Its presence is huge. You do have the occasional shot of auto-tune on the Diaz sisters' vocals on this thing, which some hardcore fans have kind of taken the wrong way as them ruining their voices or ruining their sound. Personally, I think the beauty of their singing still shines through a lot of the auto-tune, and I think much of the time it adds a very nice and a necessary degree of separation from the lead vocals or the vocal harmonies that are more raw and naked and untouched. It allows them to add more vocal harmonies and lead vocals into tracks or into a mix without it sounding like you're just listening to 4 or 5 or 6 layers of the same person. And there's also an undeniably sharp digital texture to the autotune too that I think plays well in the mostly open and organic aesthetic of these songs. All in all, it's just a nice contrast. The one moment where I would say the autotune goes kind of overboard is on the closing track, Ash, which generally I think the instrumentation and the mixing on that track is a little chaotic, a little muddy, to the point where it just really takes away from the song more than it adds. Still though, there are tons of quality tracks in the track listing on this thing. For one, the song Away, Away, a song that features these captivating, sweeping vocal harmonies, a booming cerebral beat, stunning lead vocals. It is essentially the simple beauty of Ibeyi's music encapsulated into a 3-minute song. The song Deathless has some pretty creepy lyrics about a young girl having a run-in with this total creep who's just impeding on her very existence in a very violent way. With how the lyrics read on this thing, it seems like this girl's untimely death comes at the hands of this guy, and from what I understand, this song is inspired by a real run-in with a racist cop that one of the Diaz sisters had. The song Numb is kind of a smart fusion of Ibeyi's typical sound with a bit of a trip-hop vibe, complete with these very heavy droning synth chords and a dusty hip-hop beat. And the very epic Transmission is a wonderful track that seems to ideologically push for a better tomorrow, a clearer sky. The song has multiple phases to it, each one more stunning than the next. I wish there were more songs that sort of hit a length that was this satisfying. And this cut is one of many moments on this album that seem to be a direct response to the current social and political climate. And just let me sidebar something about this record. This is a deeply feminine album. This is not just two women making an apolitical art pop record. This album has a mystical, womanly vibe to it that shows incredible concern for the treatment of the fair sex across the world. The song I Want to Be Like You is one of the most heartwarming and catchiest tracks on the entire record. The refrain, the chorus on this thing is so quiet and yet so snappy and just burned into my head instantly. And the sentiment of the song is beautiful. It's about essentially wanting the innocence and the carefree nature of a younger child to be yours. Like, you're envious of this younger kid, that they're so hopeful and they're so bright and they're so looking forward to what the world has to offer them. But yet, as an adult, you sort of understand just how dark things are. There's a slave trade in Libya right now. Jesus Christ. The one thing about this track, though, is that it is criminally short, and that's kind of an issue for me. I wish some of this album's best moments just had more length, had more structure, felt more like fully completed songs as opposed to overextended motifs. Namely, I Carried This for Years, which I think is a beautiful introduction. It just doesn't really land the ending. And then there is No Man Is Big Enough for My Arms, which I love the vocal harmonies on that, love the sentiment of the track, love the Michelle Obama samples, but again, it doesn't really feel like a song as much as it does just a motif. Meanwhile, tracks like Waves and Valle feel just a little too skeletal to captivate as much as some of the other songs on this thing, though there is something about how naked and stark and basic the song Waves is that kind of makes it a standout in the track listing. So there are a good number of tracks on this thing that do leave me feeling underwhelmed, like I just wanted more. However, the vast majority of the songs on this thing are great. This album is really wonderful. I recommend it to anybody who's looking for a pretty strong art pop release this year. It is a beautiful little album that is deceptively simple and has a huge heart. I'm feeling a decent to strong 7 on this thing. Transition. Have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best. You're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe, and please don't cry. Just leave a thoughtful comment in the comments if you're feeling full of thoughts. I'll see you guys in the next video. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. You can click on that or click on the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Ibeyi, forever.